kick things. What's up, Jim? Thanks for joining us, man.
What's going on, Jim?
We'll let the music play, get some folks in here, and then we got a lot of good stuff to talk about tonight. It's gonna be fun.
Come on. Do us a favor, boys. If you're watching, hit that like and share button. Facebook algorithm wants to see it get spread far and wide as fast as possible. And I push it out even more.
Yes, it does.
I don't understand algorithms, but that's what I read on the Google, and that's what ChatGPT says. So hit that like and share button. It helps us out tremendously.
Tremendously. That's a big word. I don't even know if I can spell that.
Tremendous.
You grab that beer?
Yeah. Beer time.
Beer time. Yeah, we haven't done a beer review in a while. I think I'm going to start this episode off with a beer review. I'm going to wait to open it for the music. I'm going to start this with a beer review.
This will only be like the third time we've reviewed a hams.
I don't think we've ever reviewed a hams.
I think didn't review it. I think we said we were drinking them one day.
Yeah, but I got to review it because it's. I've actually only seen hams at one store. I've never seen hams like widely distributed. Probably because it's trash. But it's all right. Hit the road, bub. Let's do this. So,
It's time.
it is Bass and Beer Radio. It is Friday night, and it is shenanigans.
Time.
So, we are going to start off with the beer review. I think the first show we ever did, we started with beer review.
We did a couple shows where we did beer reviews, and each week we tried to drink a different beer, but that
We just ran out of beer to drink.
quickly fell off.
So, this is Hams. You can see that Hams beer.
It doesn't even sound good.
No, it's not. That's the neat part. It's not. Now I will say, I do like a cheap beer, and I can respect a cheap beer. How cheap is this 6-pack? Well, a 6-pack is $3.99. I mean,
Nuh-uh.
yeah, I swear to God, this is $3.99 at my local liquor store.
The freaking cans cost more to make than that.
That's what I'm saying. This beer is honestly like, if you could.
It's honestly.
Let me say this. So if you could take waking up in a trailer with an obese woman and put it in a beer can, that's what this tastes like. It's just terrible. But for $3.99, whatever. You know, hey, I got you.
What's going on, Tyler? Thanks for that like, brother.
You know, I don't like having stock in Michelob Ultra, so I buy this Hams beer. And again, it's just like, if you think Pabst Blue Ribbon was trashy, you need to get you some Hams beer and just take that up a notch.
Oh, Caitlin, my beautiful girlfriend, liked. Thank you so much, honey. What's up, Matt? We got Matt Downs from Trick Tins in the house.
What's going on, Matt? Thanks for joining us, man.
We need to get with Matt here really soon.
We definitely need to get Matt
an
on
update
again.
on Matt's life.
Yeah, for sure. So we got a couple things to talk about. We got a really cool guest that's coming in, not next week, but the week after. We have a robot from Kick commenting on our live stream now.
Yeah, that's probably why we turned that off.
I don't know. What was the one guy's handle on Kick that was hilarious and we didn't even realize it?
I don't know, like smoking buttholes or something.
Yeah,
like
it was something. It was something great.
Oh, dude, there's 3 Rolling Rocks back behind me that I'm getting ready to throw in the trash. You were more than welcome to come get them.
Are they?
Yeah.
Tyler Hawthorne from UMA. Hey, man, thanks for joining us, brother. We appreciate it.
UMA, what up?
Tyler, we got to get.
Arms aren't wide enough to go around the UMA.
We got to get Tyler on too, see if he's got any new baits in the works or new projects that he's willing to share with us. Because this is the time of year for crankbaits, man. Like this is it. We're gonna get into that. So we're gonna start off. We got a cool guest that I'm gonna announce for November 7th. We're gonna get into some of our favorite fall baits. There's actually, for me, there's not a lot. There's just a few, and then give an update on our boy Paul Batters, who's driving home from Wisconsin, not East Wisconsin, Wisconsin today. and then an update on our buddy Riverboat Rob.
East side, west side.
And then we're going to wrap it up. But we got a lot of cool stuff to talk about, so I'm going to get right into it. For those of you guys that have either been friends with me personally or you have watched the show enough, you guys know that I have a thing for gambler bass boats, right?
Guy literally rubs your schmink to him.
It's kind of like a kink for boats. Like if you had it's weird. It's probably not a good way to explain that. We're going to get kicked off the air. But that being said, like I've just always been fascinated with the design of a gambler bass boat. I thought they were super cool, super unique. Only bass boat that I know of that has trim tabs.
They look like Lamborghinis.
Right.
With their bass boats. They
have a very unique design. They have the storage layout is actually really cool. And the thing I really like about gambler bass boats is they can kind of do a lot of everything. So they're fast. They're not bullet fast. They're not Allison fast, but they're fast. I mean, they're running in the 80s. I don't know about like with today's tournament load, but back in the day, like the 209s were pretty quick. The 2100s were pretty quick. The Intimidators were fast too. So they weren't, they're not running Allison numbers. They're not running 20XD bullet numbers.
What's going on, Josh?
But they're faster than, they're definitely faster than your Rangers. They're faster than your Earl Benz Tritons. And they can handle rough water because they're heavy. And they have the bass boat storage that has been basically has become like the norm for bass boats. So, obviously Gambler was around in the 80s, the 90s, early 2000s. They kind of went away. They came back as Sterling when they were owned by American Marine Corporation, AMC. And then they came back again, I think in 2019 or early 2020, under Gambler bass boats. There were some folks that were involved in that revival that were part of Gambler from the beginning. And then the company came back, they lasted a couple years and they ultimately faltered, or foundered might be since they're boats, right? So they fell apart a little bit, which sucks, right? Because they were super cool boats. But I know I've been rambling. For those of you that kind of followed Gambler or know anything about Gambler, you know the name Heath Murphy. Heath Murphy was like the brainchild, the lead designer, the quality control guy behind Gambler. And he was really one of the driving forces behind that company when they came back, even though they were ultimately unsuccessful. But on November 7th, we're going to have Heath come and join us live and kind of get some information on what happened, like what killed Gambler, and what are some of the things that these companies they face in today's market. I've actually written him some questions, and I have a lot of cool questions for him. If you guys didn't get a chance and you're interested in the topic, check out Andy Hauser's Team Marines video. They actually did an interview with Heath a couple months ago talking about Gambler and some of the things. So if you want to kind of get a precursor to what we're going to talk about, you can check that video out. It's a really good video. But yeah, I think it's going to be a really good interview with Heath, man. He's a really nice guy. We've been talking back and forth this week. Really, really excited for it because I think a lot of people were invested, even if they weren't financially invested. When Gambler came back, a lot of people were looking at it because Gambler was a brand that was always like, everybody knew what a Gambler was. Like if you knew anything about bass boats and you saw a Gambler, you knew exactly what that boat was about. They stood out 100%. So really looking forward to having that. I think that'll be a really good conversation. So big announcement for that. Again, November 7th, 7 o'clock, just like we always do. Tune in for that. Think of some questions that you'd like to ask the man. Maybe if you own a Gambler, you might want to join us, talk about it. So yeah, it's going to be great. I see some comments. Joe said Miles will buy you one for Christmas. Just tell him to dig in his left pocket. So, hey, Joe, you want to hear a funny story? Guess whose boat's in my driveway right now?
No way.
Yeah, Miles's boat's in my driveway so I can get it ready for our trip in a couple weeks.
The money pit.
Yeah, because...
What's up, Lil John?
I've been trying to get Miles to run the boat, and he's got 1,000 excuses, all of which seem legitimate. Not that I dig into his life or anything like that, but like, basically, we got a trip in a month. And I'm telling him hey, you got to run this boat before we drive it 5 hours away and hope that it runs for 3 days. And he hasn't had a chance to do it. So it's in my driveway right now. I ran it on Monday. It ran fine. Water pump kind of has maybe an issue. I'm going to get to that tomorrow. I'm basically rewiring the whole trailer tomorrow and adding LED lights. You know.
You don't need that. Just stick your cell phone out the window with a red light on it when you're braking.
Yeah. Oil issues. So I didn't have any oil issues with it. When he took it over to the wherever the hell he takes it, they replaced the oil sensor, and they bled it again. I think the oil sensor was bad when we were screwing around with it in the parking lot a couple weeks ago. I noticed that there was a lot of oil dripping out, or the plug going to the oil sensor was pretty wet. So I'm pretty sure that thing was starting to leak and it wasn't getting a good reading, because generally the forums say if it's wet, it's not holding a seal, it's not holding pressure. The sensor's probably going to do stupid things. So I think the oil is probably fine. I'm going to keep running it. I'm going to try to run it every week until we get on our trip and see what happens. I mean, luckily I'm pretty familiar with Evinrude Fix and Evinrude E-Tech, so hopefully if something happens, I can fix it before we get down there. But yeah, the trailer's getting pretty much redone. I'm going to check out the bearings. If those things are even maybe not good, I'm just going to replace the hubs, put new brakes on it, just do everything all around. I will say that, like, the more I dig into the boat, the more questionable shit I find. Now, none of it Miles has done, because he doesn't do anything to his boat. So like I'm finding like really weird stuff going on.
Doesn't he like work from home or something like that?
No, he got a new job. He's actually working a shit ton, which is one of the reasons why he's not running the boat. But
oh yeah, hit
nice.
The camera.
So yeah, I'm screwing around with that, trying to get it straight so we can go on our trip and not immediately turn around and drive another 7 hours home.
That would really suck.
That would suck. But I think the next thing is we're going to get into our favorite fall baits. And I got a couple in mind. And I will say this, when it comes to fall baits, I don't have a lot of favorites. I don't have a lot that I throw. I really only have 4 or 5. Like, that's it. And I think in the fall, I mean, it's simple. You can keep it really simple. Fish are feeding on bait.
Fish are feeding, they're eating, they're active.
Right.
It's a great time of the year to fish. It's a great time of the year to gain confidence on a bait that you want to gain confidence in. Because, I mean, in all honesty, you can get bit on whatever you want to throw.
A lot of the times, yeah. I mean, there's definitely certain things, and a lot of these baits, I will say I started throwing before forward-facing sonar, and then I kind of, like, really started to gain confidence in watching fish react to them on forward-facing sonar. And the first one I'm going to say shouldn't be a huge surprise, but it's the Alabama rig. The Alabama rig is a force to be reckoned with in the fall.
That is a fun thing to throw. It'll wear your arm out, but it's fun.
And if you don't throw it and you haven't tried throwing it, I would highly encourage you to throw it, just because it is incredible.
KP.
Yeah, I mean, largemouth, smallmouth. I actually do way better with the A-rig around smallmouth. Primarily because you can throw it with 5 hooks in Pennsylvania, which is Conowingo, obviously. But I mean, I've caught a lot of largemouth with it too. When we go to Lake Anna, I'd catch a bunch of fish with it. Mm-hmm. Caught fish with it in a lot of places. Kentucky Lake, I've caught fish on it. I can't remember if I caught any in New York on it. I don't remember if I caught any fish in New York on A-rig.
I know I like throwing it up on Conowingo this time of year.
Yeah, but it's like you just gotta throw it on Conowingo, and like I feel like the A-rig's very intimidating for a lot of people, but it's not. Like, it can be a very simplified bait.
It's definitely a thing that's a little bit more intimidating to throw. It's like, where do I apply this bait in a sense? You know what I mean? Like, do I really want to throw this up in cover? Like, where am I going to use this bait?
I would say
that's what I dealt with anyways.
My thing with the A-rig is a lot of it has to do with how you weight it, right? And if you want to put 1/8 ounce or 16 ounce weights on it, you can fish it just like a spinnerbait. I mean, if you got fish on a shallow flat, or if you got fish on a shallower bank that are in cover in the fall, throw your A-rig up there like a spinnerbait. I mean, put some lighter jig heads on it and just rock and roll, and you will catch fish. Well, we usually throw it is on offshore structure, or offshore cover, maybe 10 to 15 feet.
I'm sure that's easy to watch on the forward-facing sonar.
Oh, yeah. And that's the other thing about it, too, is you can really, dial in your forward-facing sonar. Like, if you're new to forward-facing sonar and you're not really sure how to get it dialed in, you're not really sure how to find your bait, start with an A-rig. Even if it's a complete wrong time of year and you're not really interested in catching fish on it, like throwing an A-rig with your forward-facing sonar, you will see it, and then you can adjust your settings and really get it perfect. But yeah, I mean, the A-rig is absolute money. The one thing I will say about the A-rig that is a little bit of a down or a little bit of a con, if you will, pros and cons of throwing it. If you're throwing it in a school of fish and the fish aren't really schooling by size, like let's say you're throwing at a school and there's a couple 3s, a couple 1.5s, a couple whatever, the A-rig does seem to catch smaller fish first. And that's kind of a pain in the ass. The other thing about the A-rig that I'll say is if you're fishing an offshore boulder and you throw your A-rig, you're going to catch a fish on it in the right conditions, like immediately. Like you will catch them. But you're going to pull a lot of fish off the cover too. That's really the big problem. So like if you pull up to a rock or you pull up to a shell bed or you pull up to whatever, a hump in the water, and you see, there's 5 or 6 fish on it, you throw your A-rig out there, you're probably going to get bit. The problem is you got to hope that you catch the biggest fish from that school in the first cast, because as soon as you bring them in, all those other fish are going to follow it and you're going to pull all the fish off the cover. And it sucks because it has such a good potential to catch fish. But like me and Miles, we fish it up on Conowingo all the time this time of year. We see it time and time again. And it really makes it difficult to, like, when you pull up on something, because we fish a merry-go-round of spots. This time of year, we got like 30 waypoints that we'll hit. We'll shine the scope on, see fish, even if we're not scoping. But we kind of just know when fish are in certain areas or whatever. And there are definitely times where, like, you'll watch fish and you'll see them set up and you're like, nah, that A-rig is not the deal, because you will pull those fish off. In a similar way that a glide bait draws fish, like, but you got to think, you're pulling fish up and out too. So the fish are coming up off the bottom. They're coming towards the boat, following the bait, or staying with a fish that has been caught by the A-rig. And then you got to wait like an hour for the fucking shit to reset to go back and try to catch them. So there's definitely that little aspect of it when it comes to the A-rig. A-rigs that I like, you're going to think I'm crazy. Get the one on Amazon. Get the Amazon umbrella rig. I say that because it's an Alabama rig, right? It is a simple concept.
I just throw the Yum a lot.
The Yum's a great one. I do like the Flash Mob Junior. I like the Junior a little bit more.
The Yums are like that. It's a cheap option, but it's not just some Amazon brand that nobody's ever seen or heard of before.
The reason I say I like the Amazon brand is I've thrown every brand of A-rig at this point, except for like the Stealth one that's got like the nylon wires or whatever. And I don't know that they have an A-rig that catches more fish or gets more bites. I do know that if you catch enough fish on them, they all break. Like you'll lose a wire eventually. That being said, I mean, an A-rig, I think a Yumbrella Junior is like $15. I can get 5 of them on Amazon for $15. It's the same concept. It's a wire. It's a blade. Now, the blade quality is probably not there. The swivels are not there for sure. Like the swivels on the Amazon ones, you got to change them out or you're going to lose them. Like you're going to break fish off.
I mean, so that right away, you might as well just buy the Yum.
I mean, if you're going to throw them all the time, I would get a mixture of both. You know, for your practice days, throw your cheapos, and if you lose them, you lose them.
Hog Farmer makes some sick A-rigs. And I like the Shane's Baits A-rigs a lot too. Shane's Baits, Hog Farmer. I think Hog Farmer makes a couple A-rigs with Tactical Bassin.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will say the biggest thing with an A-rig is, and I don't care what weight you put your hooks, right? Because you can throw them 16th ounce, 8th ounce, quarter ounce. What I usually do is I'll throw 4 out of my 5 hooks as an 1/8 ounce. And my bottom hook will be heavier, and that's just to keep it straight in the water.
Keep it balanced, keep it straight, so it's not twisted.
Right, you don't want this going through the water. You don't want that, right? That doesn't look natural. Bait fish don't do that. You want a straight glide. That's why you got to have that that bottom bait weighted. A lot of guys will actually either on the bottom, on the back bait, or both. They'll put a different swim bait, just a different color, just as like a target.
Oh, yeah.
Because generally speaking, I mean...
Generally, the one in the middle, I'll make larger than the ones
Yeah.
on the outside.
90% of the time, the fish that we'll catch on A-rigs are either on the bottom hook, which is the heavier weight, or the hook in the back. Just because fish generally come up for it, or they're pursuing straight from behind it, and that's the closest one that they'll grab. So if you're in a situation where you can't throw 5 hooks, your 2 hooks, if you're in Maryland, your 2 hooks should be the bottom and the back. The other 3 can be dummies. You won't lose a whole lot of fish.
Yep, Scuba Steve's he must be listening. He's tuned in. Just sent me a picture of the Sheen baits up here on the wall.
Nice.
So, yeah, A-rig, fantastic fall bait. If you don't have one, definitely recommend trying one. To go back up to one of Jim's comments earlier, they're a lot easier to throw if you're throwing it on a bigger rod than a smaller rod and like a 200 or 300 series reel. I throw my A-rigs on like a light swim bait rod. It just gives you that leverage. Doesn't wear your arm out as much. You don't have to worry about all the bow and everything in your rod. So what's going on, Paul Batters? Paul, give us a little update real quick on. Well, you're probably driving, or maybe you're not. You might be home by now. I have no idea. But give us a little update on your trip to La Crosse.
Yeah, no, happy to hear it, man. And hey, I just want to give a shout out to Paul for 1 for making it to nationals, and 2 for being. I think he finished the best in. I think it said he finished the highest in out of all the Maryland anglers, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, he's driving.
He's riding. Is he driving? I guess he went up there with
somebody.
somebody.
You riding in the boat?
That'd be kind of cold, actually. But yeah, so not first bait for me right off the bat, like fall fishing, A-rig. I'm going to throw that 90% of the time when I'm starting out on any body of water, October, November. If especially around smallmouth, believe it or not, like a lot of people will not throw the A-rig because they think, oh, smallmouth, you got a downsized drop shot, whatever.
No.
In the fall, please do yourself a favor and start with the Alabama rig.
The aside from the A-rig though, we've covered the A-rig a little bit here. For me, it's definitely going to be obviously between certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, here we go. Cool place. Never found anything.
You're right back.
Practice. Had a small limit both days. For me, it's kind of I'm between on things because I like throwing big swim baits, but I love throwing a crankbait, and it is really hard to beat cranking this time of the year. Between your normal square bills will work in that early fall season. Your normal square bills will work in that early fall season until the water temperature really drops, and when I find that water temperature gets to be in the 50s, I'll automatically swap over and I'll start throwing a flat side crankbait. And some of my favorite flat side crankbaits are obviously the UMA Lure Company. Tyler makes a couple really, really nice flat side crankbaits, and the wedge is probably one of my favorites. I really like throwing the wedge. He's got a shallow and he's got a deep wedge. Yep, exactly. Paul says the UMA Skinny Shad Shallow. Another great, fantastic option. And then another bait that Paul turned me on to last year when I was fishing at Lake Anna was the Frit side. Mm-hmm. And that will be the only Berkeley bait you ever see me throw in my entire life. But the Frit side is an amazing flat side crankbait. So between square bills in the early fall to flat sides in the later fall, on the other side of that, when I find fish that are actively feeding, dude, it's really hard to not throw a glide bait. I just love throwing a glide bait.
I was actually going to say, I mean, in the fall, a glide is a really good, it's a really good option.
I mean, this is one of the best times of the year to get those big bites, and glide baits simply just help draw that bigger bite. You got fish are very active. They tend to follow the baits a lot more. You get a lot more action on them. It's a good time of year to build confidence in throwing a bigger swim bait. Can't go wrong with throwing a bull shad 6, bull shad 7, or like a KGB, Spro, something of that nature.
Oh,
and
just a trick shad.
Yeah, even one of the what is it? The Buca brand trick shads.
Yeah. I see that we talked about the skinny shad at all. Did we go over crankbaits at all? Well, I just kind of did a general synopsis of it. Like in the early fall, I'll still throw like square bills.
And then once we get into that late fall, when that water temperature gets into the 50s, I'll swap over into a flat side.
Yeah, I think
because it's just got that, instead of that hard wobble, it's just got that tighter action to it. It represents bait fish slowing down a little bit, not being as fast, and it draws bites.
I would say that the crankbait is it is like the man. I think in the
there's
fall,
never a time to not throw a crankbait.
I think in the fall the crankbait for
Unless
me
you're in the middle of a grass flat, obviously.
Yeah. Well, even then there's a hybrid hunter. For me, I think the crankbait is just the most dominant fall bait. And I say that because I've gone to a lot of different places in the fall, and I fished like from when I used to fish like Smith Mountain Lake, obviously Moomaw. I never fished Anna in the fall, Conowingo in the fall, the Gunpowder in the fall. Everywhere I have fished in the fall more than once, I have had an absolute day on a crankbait.
It's spring, summer, fall. I'm throwing. I will always have a crankbait on. There's never not a time to crank. Cranking is fantastic. I've met a handful of people who they just don't throw crankbaits. It's just they just don't do it.
I used to be one of those people.
I don't. At one point, I was too, and then me and Steve got into throwing cranks, and it was just, dude, it's a fun bite. It is a great bite. It's a fantastic way to catch fish, and in all times of the year.
I would say that, and like I said, I mean, I in all the places I have fished in the fall, like the Gunpowder, the Upper Bay, the Conowingo, Moomaw, Smith Mountain, Lake Robertson, Clater Lake, even Clater Lake down in Virginia. I have always had a day where the crankbait is just the deal. I mean, and it's like, it's catch rate of 5, 6, 7, 8 to 1, any other bait. When we went live 2 weekends ago, the crankbait was, you could argue the crankbait was the deal that day. I mean, the spinnerbait came on later, but the crankbait was still the deal. And I think that the most important thing that you can pick with a fall crankbait is you just got to pick one. I like small crankbaits, especially in this area, but even in the pond, you have so much big shad, giant shad, schools of giant shad. That's small. There's something about that small profile crankbait, whether it's a rock crawler, whether it's a BX brat, whether it's a UMA crankbait, something about those small crankbaits in this area just fucking works. And oh my God, dude, it is ridiculous.
Scuba Steve got this like random JDM lures box, and in the box he got 2 of those like 35-foot diving crankbaits.
Were they the ones? Oh, are they like the Gigantors, or are they like the really small body? Like the lip is bigger than the actual bait.
The lip is bigger than the actual bait.
I've seen those. I can't remember what they're called.
I can't remember if it's an OSP or what it is, but that bait is freaking ridiculous. And I bet you it would get bit at the right place. Like we were talking about it, like going to Anna this year, it would probably be a great place to throw it in like Anna. In one of those, 30-foot sections out near one of the dividers or something like that.
I would say the reason I think a small crankbait is the deal in the fall, right? And and you kind of started to hit on it too. Like a lot of your bigger crankbaits generally go deeper outside of square bills and stuff like that. But like generally speaking, a 10XD, that's a big ass bait. Like a dredger 22.5. I don't even know if they still make the dredger. Oh yeah, that's it.
Look at how big that is compared to a
huge.
standard square bill.
It's huge.
It's massive.
I think a smaller crankbait, or sorry, like generally speaking, right? The deeper a crankbait goes, the bigger the body of the crankbait is. And in the fall, I mean, a lot of fish aren't that deep. I mean, generally, like right now, if I'm going to go fishing on Conowingo, which I'm going to do this weekend, I'm not fishing any deeper than 15 foot. Like I don't need to pull out my DT16s. I don't need to pull out my 10XDs. Like none of that crap. There's a smaller bait is generally better. And again, I'm going to say the rock crawler. I'm going to say the UMA cranks. I'm going to say the BX brats. Even the DT6 is a really good option too. The DT8. After the DT8, the baits get a little bit big for me. I like the small ones. Just my opinion.
Next to those baits, I like throwing a chatterbait.
I was thinking about that when I went over there to use the restroom.
Next to, we talked about an A-rig, we talked about crankbaits, we talking about throwing a glide bait a little bit, a chatterbait or a spinnerbait. I prefer throwing a chatterbait, especially more in the early fall when that grass is still there, but it's kind of dying off. Chatterbaits just tend to do better in grass than spinnerbaits do. I think spinnerbaits do a lot better when you're throwing around cover, laydowns and shit like that. But yeah, chatterbait and a spinnerbait, white, black and blue, maybe something with a white with a little bit of chartreuse or something in it like that. They get the job done. Oh, can't forget, I'm not even going to lie, like this is it's not a secret, but I think it's a bland color that a lot of people just don't like, but just a straight green pumpkin. A straight green pumpkin chatterbait, and that is it. Will just get destroyed.
Yep. So I'm going to say I actually, in the fall, I prefer a spinnerbait. And I say that for a couple reasons. The main thing of it is like in the fall, you got to remember.
Chatterbaits come through grass a lot better than spinnerbaits, in my opinion.
Some of them. So, in general, yes. But there are some spinnerbaits that are close. But in general, yes, I would agree with you. Just because of the weed guard.
The weeds can get, once they get in the blade of a spinnerbait, it kind of just kills the action altogether.
Yeah. My biggest thing.
That and ripping hard on a spinnerbait ends up bending them or breaking them.
My biggest thing is when you get into when you start getting into like the damn, like you got to think about what the bait's doing in the fall, right? Generally speaking, everything's schooled up in the fall, right? Bass are schooled up chasing bait that's schooled up or pushed up or something. And I think where a lot of the times where a chatterbait really shines, especially like in the spring and the summer, you have bait that's schooled, yes, but you don't have the bait that's like all the bait schooled up. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like right now, if you go out on the flats, if you go out on Conowingo, if you go on the gunpowder, bait is very, very tight. And I feel like a spinnerbait imitates that a little bit better just because of the blade designs. Like you have your actual hook, your bait with the hook is an individual bait imitation. And then the two blades, generally willow blades, are very, very tight and they move very tightly compared to what bait looks like. A chatterbait's still going to catch fish. There's no question. But I think a spinnerbait is just going to be a little bit better of an imitation of what the fish are actually doing. I mean, that day when we were out on live, we were smoking them on a crankbait and a spinnerbait. I don't think we caught a single fish on a chatterbait.
I caught them on a chatterbait.
Did you?
I caught like 2 on a chatterbait.
Yeah.
The spinnerbait did much better than the chatterbait. It did.
I think that it has a lot to do with what the bait itself is doing.
It's also a confidence thing for me.
Yeah. Now I will say, like 90% of the year, like spring, summer, I'm throwing a chatterbait. I will have a spinnerbait. I'll keep them honest with it, but the spinnerbait for me in the fall is the deal. Just because again, it imitates what the bait's doing. The spinnerbait itself, in a way, is a miniature A-rig in that it's multiple presentations of a bait that are in one thing. Like a spinnerbait is not imitating one bait; it's imitating 2 or 3 little bait fish, which is what you're seeing in the fall most of the time. Size of bait has a lot to do with it too. You know, a lot of on these fisheries, a lot of what these fish are feeding on this time of year. Yeah, you'll go out and you'll see giant balls of big shad. I mean, 6-7 inch shad just schooled up like right now on the flats. It's crazy.
I don't think
fish aren't eating that. They're not. They're eating little bait fish in the grass, which a spinnerbait is going to be a better imitation of. Like because you'll foul hook one of those shad, and it's almost looks like a trick shad.
Yeah.
Like a chatterbait is a better side by side comparison to that bait fish, and you'll find that those bass aren't out in the openness eating those fish. They're in the grass eating a different bait. They're eating different types of bait. So you got to really keep that in mind too when you're picking a spinnerbait versus a chatterbait.
Agreed.
Because when me and my buddy Greg went out a couple weeks ago, we saw bait like that, like I just described, out in the middle, and fish were busting them. We thought they were bass. They were stripers. Then you go in the grass, you had to throw a different size bait, and we were catching them on that. We weren't catching them on the chatterbaits out there. We were catching them on the different stuff in the grass because they weren't feeding on that stuff.
There's another fall bait that I think some people could potentially sleep on because when you think about the water's getting colder, you kind of forget about top water.
Oh yeah,
you don't really talk, but the buzz bait.
Yeah, the buzz bait is a huge deal.
Is killer bait in the fall time.
Plopper's a really good option too.
A plopper's also a good option. You know, I tend to stray a little bit. I'm not saying it won't catch fish, but like a walking bait or something of that nature, a frog when the grass is dying out. I don't throw them as much anymore. I tend to go over to the buzz baits and just throw buzz baits. When I get to the fall time, I'll just tie on a buzz bait, and that's what I'll be throwing.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that again comes back.
And I say that I haven't thrown a buzz bait once this year yet.
I think a lot of it again comes back to bait imitation, right? Like you got to think about what bait's doing and where fish are. Like 90% of the time, bait at this time of year, when you find an area with a lot of bait is going to be shallow because fish are pushing them up shallow. And if you find a bait that imitates bait fish that are stressed and up shallow, you're going to get bit better.
Paul says the old spook. Right after I said I'm not a fan of throwing the walking bait, Paul loves throwing the spook in the fall time.
It definitely works.
But I also know Paul's a big fan of the buzz bait too.
Yeah.
And here's another thing that we kind of covered on the other week when we were talking about some stuff, because I had a day where I was out fishing with Scuba Steve. We were throwing not identical lures, but pretty much identical lures, and Steve's crankbait had a knocker in it and mine did not, and he was producing 4-1 over my crankbait. So I also think that noise disturbance
makes a big difference. Yeah,
can make a big difference. That's where a spook's got a big loud knocker in it. The buzz bait just they just kind of same thing with the chatterbait. It's got that noise disturbance to it. Spinner baits make noise too. They a little bit more quiet. Obviously, they kind of just displace water more than make noise. But I think noise disturbance can play a large role in the fall fishing.
I think in the fall, fish will really lock in on sight feeding more than anything.
In your opinion though, why, just off the top of your head, why would you think that noise disturbance plays a good role in fall fishing?
Well, and it goes back to bait being schooled up, right? So
yes, when
you have a natural school of bait that's maybe got 300, 400, 500 individual bait fish in it, something that's different, the fish are going to lock in on. I said it last week where if you have a day where it's really windy, that noise is static. It's like static in there. So like I said, if you're driving down the road, listening to the radio, and there's some backfeed and some static, the first thing you're going to do is turn the radio up so you can hear what's being said. You're not going to turn it down. If it's a really clear day on the radio, you're going to turn it down so you can hear it better. I think it's the same concept. So that's my kind of opinion on that, is the more general noise in the water with like current or wind or whatever, you can get away with a little bit louder bait. And I think that's pretty true all the time. I mean, like a buzz bait is obviously best in the wind.
I tend to think of it, just to simplify this a little bit, I think that when you have bait that's schooled up, you have just large amounts of bait all over the place. And you're throwing a bait that looks similar to all the other bait that's swimming around, that little bit of noise sets your bait apart from all the other bait fish that are swimming around and helps those bass lock on and target your bait over the other baits that are out there. I think that's a lot, just simplified. I think that's what a knocker, something of that nature does.
So the next bait I want to move on to, and there's the next two we're going to talk about are very similar. The first one I want to hit is a single swimmer, right? I mean,
just a paddle tail swim bait?
Paddle tail swim bait on a jig head hook. And it's very versatile, right? You can throw it in that 15-foot zone. You can throw it in a 3-foot zone.
I'm with Joe on that. 8 to 10 inch glide and toss everything else in the trash.
I won't go that far. But I will say, my thing is with a single swimmer, you can do a lot with it, right? You can, if you're fishing deep cover, You can drop the swim bait on it. You can get a lot of fish that maybe aren't super active to bite it. My best days on a single swimmer are when fish are in areas where fish are stacked, but there's not a lot of bait next to them, which is interesting, right? So like I've had days on Conowingo where the water will be high, and I know where fish kind of stack up when the water's high at this time of year. And yeah, I'll catch them on a crankbait, but
you've only spent half your life up there.
Yeah, right. But my thing is up there, a lot of times these fish get in really small areas. I mean, an area the size of this table is where you're making your cast, right? Just a little natural piece of structure where these fish are going to set up. There's not bait around those fish. There's just not a lot of bait. They're not busting bait up shallow, but you throw that single swimmer out there, you're going to catch them, which is really, really cool. And you,
now, how big of a single swimmer? Are we talking a 6-inch single swimmer? Are we talking a 2.8, a 3.8?
My go-to on Conowingo, because of the bait that's in that fishery, is a Kitech 3.5 swing impact. I'm not.
What are you throwing that on, like a 1/4-inch ball head?
Always a quarter.
Or a quarter-ounce ball head?
Always a quarter. Always a quarter. And I'll say that because I like bottom contact. So I'll spinning rod, medium, 7 foot or 7 foot to 7.4, 7.3, medium. Throw it out there. You're fishing in 5 foot or less. Let that thing it'll get to the bottom pretty quick. And you're just keeping the rod tip high, and you're fishing it like a crankbait. You're feeling that jig head hit the rocks, and that bait is the boot tail swinging, and then it hits a rock and it does this, and then it hits another rock and it does this. You're fishing it just like a crankbait, but because there's not a lot of fish in that shallow area, they're not pushing bait up. They're just sitting there. Maybe they're feeding on crawls. Maybe there might be like a current spillway or something where they're sitting there ambushing, right? That single swimmer is going to catch fish, and it is phenomenal how many big fish you can catch. 2 years ago, or 3 years ago now, I got on a bite on Conowingo when the water was high, and me and my buddy Kevin, we capitalized on it. Every weekend we went out and caught fish, and we caught them on crankbaits, we caught them on A-rigs when they were a little bit deeper, but that single swimmer was the deal. I mean, it was just the deal, period, end of sentence. And again, like I said before, these areas that we're fishing, there wasn't bait in the area. I mean, there might have been a couple little fish swimming around, but those giant schools that we're used to seeing, that wasn't the deal. Another thing I will say with your single swimmer is you can add some different types of hooks to them. Megabass has a pretty cool head. It's got a spin head. Here's another. I think Evo Tackle maybe makes one. But it's basically a jig head with a propeller on it, like a spy bait. The thing about the Megabass is the blades are different size.
I can't remember what the Megabass one is called.
I can't either.
It's a good hook. It's a good jig head hook. The blade tends to fall apart pretty easily on it, though.
I can't remember what
it's like held on by a piece of string wrapped around the shank.
Yeah.
It's like...
But it works.
But it works. Oh, yeah, it catches. Don't get me wrong.
So that's, like I said, if you got a little bit of wind or a little bit of disturbance in the water, I will say go to that spin head. I can't remember what the hell the name of the baits of the jig head's called, but it's a really good jig head. I started throwing it this year. Caught a lot of fish on it already. So that's a good option too. But like I said, if you there's two situations where I really will go to the single swimmer, right? If you're on like a river fishery, or if you're on an area where fish are shallow and they're not feeding on bait right away. Okashira.
Thanks,
yep, that's it.
Appreciate it. The Okashira.
That is exactly it. Yep. Throw the single swimmer out there. If you're fishing a river and there's an eddy and there's not bait there, but there's fish there, you know there's fish there, throw the single swimmer. You're going to catch them.
I got a couple little single swimmers that are some little secret sauce that I keep on the boat that I don't really talk about too much. Pre-packaged, pre-made. It's not a hook that you put a plastic on. It's just ready to go. A little underswimmer on it. You think you've seen me throw them before.
Yeah.
But that's a real good one.
Yep. But again, like I said, when you're fishing that thing shallow, man, you're throwing it on a medium heavy or a medium action spinning rod. You're fishing it like a crankbait. You throw it out there. You want to feel it hitting the rocks, because every time you hit a pebble or a piece of cover, it's going to dart. It's going to do this. And this fish are in that area. They might not necessarily be feeding in that area, but they're going to eat that little single swimmer. Now let's get to when you're fishing deep with the single swimmer. When I go out and there's pressured fish, or there's no wind, There's no current. Fish are offshore, but they're not really grouped up super tight. There's really not a lot of bait around them. I'm gonna get ahead of myself. So let's say this, right? You pull up on a boulder and you see fish and you see bait on the boulder. A-rig all day. Throw it, you're gonna catch them.
Yeah.
If you pull up on a boulder, you see fish on the boulder but no bait, you can throw the A-rig, but 9 times out of 10, you're just gonna pull the fish off the cover. You might catch 1 or 2, but they're generally gonna be the smaller ones, and you're gonna pull a lot of the fish off the cover. In that situation, when it's a little bit tougher, the single swimmer is going to be better. It's going to be better. And
I do like throwing a flashy swimmer this time of the year, Joe. One like the like a 6-inch mag draft with a flashy on it. Yeah.
Yep. And live scope helps a lot too. I mean, with your single swimmers, you can really get down there. Now I will say the single swimmer will catch fish when the A-rig catches fish too. I like the single swimmer when it's just got a little bit more finesse involved.
It's definitely that more finesse technique compared to throwing an A-rig.
It's way more versatile too. Like my shallow spots on the river, I won't throw an A-rig because it's going to get hung up or it's just too much. Where that single swimmer, man, it's just going to catch them. I mean, if you're throwing at the bank, you're going to catch them on that single swimmer. So going to the next technique is the underspin. And this is very similar to a single swimmer.
It's pretty much the same thing.
Kind of in that gap, if there is such a gap between the A-rig and the single swimmer, like with the no blade. Biggest thing with a bladed single swimmer and underspin,
killer.
Yeah, it's a good bait. I will say, for me, where the underspin shines the most is when, regardless of the depth,
it's displacing a little water. It's adding a little bit of light down there, a little flash. It just adds that little extra element to that little finesse bait.
Yeah. I will say, for me, when I will opt to go to the underspin versus a regular single swimmer is if I'm around bait that fish are on, fish are actively eating. Like if I'm scoping and I see a school of bait and there's fish around the school of bait, I will catch 5, 6 to 1 on that underspin. And it allows the fish to really hone in on the bait instead of a single swimmer that looks just like everything else. I think that is because of the action, right? Like if you're looking at bait, if you're in a clear water fishery and you can see bait swimming around, if they're just kind of cruising, they're real tight. You'll see a flash here, a flash there. But when there's fish eating them, like the whole school turns into a massive flash because the bait just boom. It's just flying around. So that underspin mimics that. It mimics a bait fish that's getting away and trying to run. And I think that really does it. So if you're around fish that are feeding and you can't get them on the single swimmer, go to that underspin. You'll probably get more bites. But it's situational, right? I mean, you can catch fish on an underspin a lot. But generally for me, when I'm around bait and fish on the bait, the underspin's coming out. I like the finesse ones. The Great Lakes finesse underspin, in my opinion, is the best finesse swim, the best underspin that I can find for smallmouth. There's some good options out there, like full size for largemouth and stuff like that. But for me, it's that Great Lakes underspin.
Gamakatsu and stuff has some decent ones out there.
The other thing I will say, and this is kind of whatever too, like if you're around bait, that Okashira head will work too, just because it has a little bit of a flash. But if you're around bait, like a school of bait with fish on it, the flash is absolutely the deal. Like you have to have it. So that's my next one, or that's my last one.
So Joe asked, moving on to the next thing. It's kind of one of them things. Like for me, I really don't do it a whole lot. It's just. Not saying it doesn't work. It absolutely works. It's one of the best ways to fish. I just don't do it because I enjoy power fishing. But throwing a jig, a flipping bait, something of that nature, I think fall is much better for a jig than a flipping bait. And if I was going to throw a jig, he says, "What's your flipping or all around jig? Like what do we like to throw?" I'll throw dirty jigs, or I will throw a Buckeye jig.
I was about to say for me, like my do everything jig time of year
That Buckeye ball and out jig is a killer jig.
that does it. Yeah, that's my jig. Like no matter what, it could be February, it could be June. I mean, I've won tournaments with it in April. I've won tournaments with it in June. I've won tournaments with it in July. I've caught the biggest largemouth I caught on Conowingo last year was in November on a ball and out jig.
Well, I like to, if I'm going dirty jigs, I'm throwing a flipping jig. I really like my Matt Herron flipping jigs.
Yeah,
our buddy Matt Herron's come on the show a bunch of times and talked to us. Matt Herron's got a great flipping jig out with dirty jigs, and I stay loyal to my buddy Matt. Throw that jig around. Don't throw jigs a whole lot though. Just don't do it. They work. It's just not my preferred way to fish.
I get away from it a lot because I spend the majority of my time in the fall fishing for smallmouth on Conowingo. So,
and I know if Paul's listening to me right now, he's like, idiot.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like the jig is great. It's a fish catcher. It gets a bigger bite. But I will say, for me, I will always try to find shad eaters in the fall. If I'm fishing for smallmouth, especially.
Sometimes you just got to slow down.
Sometimes you got to slow down, but even when I slow down and fish a jig in the fall, I fish a finesse jig because I'm mainly fishing for smallmouth and stuff like that.
We talking about finesse like a freaking bucktail jig, or are we talking just
the sniper jig? My bread and butter.
The sniper is a sick jig.
The sniper jig is the one. If you're gonna go fishing for smallmouth in the fall,
is that a Beast Coast?
Beast Coast OW sniper jig.
Yeah.
You can just, if you're going to take jigs out, you can just
dirty
leave everything
jigs,
else.
Beast Coast, missile jigs.
Kitech has a couple good ones too.
Kitech's got some really good ones, and then I like the Buckeye jigs. Those would probably be the main brands of jig that
There's a smaller company
I would recommend to somebody.
There's a smaller company out called Supreme Jigs. I think it's a guy out in like Missouri that makes them. Pretty small company. I have a bunch of their jigs. They're actually finesse ball head jigs. Yeah, so it's got like the finesse skirt on a ball head. Pretty nice. I've caught some fish on them. They're designed for smallmouth fishing, which is right up my alley.
I like jigs. Now this is like a small indifference here, but some jigs just have like the skirt that just comes straight back. Mm-hmm. There's like nothing else to it. It's like they're rolled to the inside where the rubber band is. I like that jig that has like I'm going to call it like the lion's mane. It's got like the lion's mane that goes all the way around the head of the jig, and then the skirt comes back.
Yeah.
It just gives it that little bit of extra flair.
Yep.
I like a jig that looks like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the sniper jigs a lot this time of year. And again, it's a smallmouth thing. I mean, I will say, though, with a full-size jig, if you're fishing like a shallow flat, and you could be cranking it, you could be throwing your spinnerbait on it. If you find some wood on the shallow flat, throw your full-size jig in there, because if there's largemouth around, generally speaking, when it comes to shallow fishing, your smallmouth will be a little bit more nomadic on those shallower flats. Largemouth can be, but a lot of times they'll be on that cover, whether it's dying grass or whether it's some wood. So if you're on a flat that's got fish, you're cranking, catching smallmouth, catching some largemouth, and you find some wood or a rock pile, and you think there's some fish on that, throw that jig in there. Like, because if there is, you're probably going to catch them. And it's a cool bite, too. Me and Miles were fishing a tournament last year in, what the hell was that? End of November. We were on a flat. We fished it the majority of the day. Kind of screwed ourselves, missing some really nice smallmouth. But there was a couple logs in one spot, and I threw my Buckeye balling out jig in there, and it just started walking off. And it was like, there, that was the almost 5-pound largemouth on Conowingo, which is a really nice fish. So there's definitely a time and a place for it. Very rarely in the fall will I go out and throw a jig all day. Usually it's like I'm on an area with fish and like, oh, okay, I should throw a jig in there type of thing. I won't throw it all day. I will not throw it all day. The next bait that you have to be throwing in the fall is a jerkbait. You got to be throwing it in the fall.
Real quick, Joe says, what about our favorite trailer?
Okay. For the finesse jigs, like if you're throwing your Wow, Joe says I go no trailer a lot. That was not the ticket last week, but no trailer on the spinner bait was king. So no trailer on a spinner bait makes sense. On a jig, if it's a full size jig, I'm pretty uniform with it. I like the Strike King Menace Grub. It's a simple streamlined bait, 2 little pinchers, doesn't have a ton of action, really good in cold water.
They have like a rage crawl too, don't they?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
But for me, that's the one. I mean, if I'm anytime it's cold or cool water, you want less action with your trailer. In the spawn, yeah, chigger crawl is a good option for your jig trailer. Now, this is a lot of people think I'm crazy, but I do this all the time. If I'm throwing my Kitech jigs, my Beast Coast, my Supreme jigs this time of year, I put a TRD on the back.
I don't understand what's wrong with that.
Because everybody thinks with a jig you must have a crawl bait, a crawl or a grub or something on the back. And I'm here to tell you.
I mean, but freaking why am I brain farting on the TRD, the freaking brand? I'm totally brain
Z-Man.
Z-Man. Like the Z-Man first off they have crawls, 2 different types of crawls.
Yep. Hate them both.
Yeah.
Hate them both. Can't stand either one of them.
I use them though.
I hate them with a passion. Can't stand them.
I use them on a Ned rig.
I mean, I'm not saying they don't catch fish, but like when I throw my little jigs out there, it will have a T or a Ned rig bait on the back.
Let's
now
put the old Mr. Twister on there.
I actually don't like the Z-Man TRD as a jig trailer because the Elastec, unless you have like a TRD specific hook keeper, it won't stay on and it's a bitch to get it on. So if I'm throwing a finesse jig, I'll actually get a Bass Munitions Ned rig style bait, a Bass Munitions bait on there because it's normal plastic and it stays on a lot better with a traditional hook keeper. Joe says I use a Senko or a ribbon tail sometimes. I'm trying to get deep quick. Yeah, I mean, like you cut off the end of a Senko on the back of one of these baits is a good idea. It's the same kind of thing.
I don't hate the Elastec. Like, I don't hate it, but it is a pain in the ass to work with.
Yeah, it is.
A lot of people love it, and it is a plastic that honestly, to me, in my opinion, it's probably the best holding plastic.
Once you get it on.
Once you get it on, and it's on there, and you've fucked with it for 20 minutes to get it on straight.
Yeah.
It's one of the best holding plastics because it just doesn't rip.
Yeah.
It doesn't rip. It doesn't break down the same way that other plastics do. I don't think it has the same action as other plastics do, obviously because the plastic characteristics are completely different from other salt plastics. But
yeah. I mean, I've actually gotten away from the actual TRD in the last couple of years just because there are so many good options out there. The Crush City makes I think it's called the BLT. That's a good option.
I have never. So I mean, you know me. I'm a Japanese bait lover. As soon as all these other bait companies came out and kind of took designs from JDM and whatnot, I just was never like, I can't throw Crush City because they freaking came out. They started with JDM designs, and I was just like, I'll just throw the freaking JDM shit.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very hard to have a day with a Ned rig and definitively say that the Z-Man TRD was the difference in these fish. I caught on a Ned rig versus the Crush City BLT versus the Ned Ocho Strike Berkeley. Is it the Berkeley? Yeah, the Ocho from Berkeley versus the Robo Worm Ned rig. Like I feel like with a true Ned rig, it's so difficult to go from one bait to another because at the end of the day, like the actions are so similar. Subtle differences, yes, always going to be in play, but like I don't know, man. Like I've never had a day where it's like, oh, they only ate the TRD Ned rig. They wouldn't eat the Ned Ocho. They wouldn't eat this bait. They wouldn't eat that bait. Drop shot different, but with the Ned rig, definitely. I think it doesn't matter. I mean, it's, as long as you're throwing like a relatively similar sized bait, I just don't think it matters personally.
Yeah.
But for the small jigs, definitely, if you're going to throw the Beast Coast OW Sniper, if you're going to throw the Supreme jigs, if you're going to throw the Kitech Finesse Football jig, put a fucking Ned rig trailer on there. If it's Elastec, good luck getting it on the hook. Once you get it on, it'll stick. That's why I like the Bass Munitions Ned baits. It's a perfect trailer for those little jigs, and they get bit, man. I'm not even gonna pretend like I figured that out myself. I've figured that out from Smallmouth Crush. Smallmouth Crush posted some really good videos on the OW Sniper jig a few years back, and that's exactly the rig that he threw. And I started throwing it up on Wingo, and I was like, wow, this really works. Like, this works really well. So if you're looking for a new bait to put in your arsenal in the fall, definitely try it. And it catches big fish. It catches big fish. There's always something to be said about a jig. We kind of talked about it a little bit. My next bait, I don't throw it a lot in the fall. I do throw it. The drop shot. Situational. I don't throw it like if fish are eating an A-rig, if they're eating a single swimmer, you won't see me pick it up. If they're eating a crankbait, you won't see me pick it up. If I cast at a target, usually an offshore deep target, and I know there's fish there that won't eat an A-rig, that won't eat a single swimmer, that won't eat like a Demiki or whatever, I can pretty confidently get a bite on a drop shot. Generally speaking, if I'm on a spot and I've caught a couple fish on it and I think there's one or two more bites, that's when I'll pick up the drop shot. Mm-hmm. Again, same thing with the jig. Very rarely in the fall am I going to throw a drop shot all day.
I throw a shaky head over a drop shot, but it's also situational.
Yeah. To me, the drop shot's the cleanup bait. It's that one or two extra fish in the school. They're freaked out because you pulled 5 of them off of a boulder or something, and you just want to you think there's one or two more bites there, throw the drop shot out with the robo worm, the flatworm. If you could only this time of year, if you can only have one bait on your drop shot, it's the flatworm. I don't care what anyone else says. You can catch them on a dream shot. You can catch them on a robo worm.
There's pretty much only freaking 2 drop shot baits that I've ever heard of that are just the go-tos, and it's a flatworm and a robo worm. The rest of everything else is shit.
Yeah, the flatworm, the robo worm, and the dream shot, in my opinion, are the 3. If you want to have a full drop shot arsenal, go with those. I will say, if you're around largemouth, the dream shot is a little bit better. The flatworm's definitely a dominant smallmouth bait, though.
There is another brand that I do really, really like. Is it X-Zone?
Probably X-Zone.
X-Zone makes some phenomenal baits that I also really like to throw.
Yeah. X-Zone does make everything X-Zone makes is good.
They make really good baits.
Yeah. But for me, like, I'm all about simplicity. Throw what you know works. And if you're drop shotting for smallmouth this time of year, it's the flatworm. If you're drop shotting for largemouth this time of year, it's a toss up between the dream shot and the robo worm. And I got news for you: the dream shot and the robo worm will catch smallmouth too. So, just my opinion. But again, I don't throw it all the time. If I pull up to a rock and catch a couple, there's a couple left down there. That's when I'm going to pick the drop shot up and try to get those bonus fish. Very rarely will I throw it all day. Very rarely will it be glued to my hand all day. Just my experience with it. Trying to think of other baits I like to throw in the fall. Well, there's one more. I don't know if I want to talk about it though.
That's fine.
The hell with it. I'll talk about it.
Okay. Go ahead.
I'll talk about it.
We got a couple other things we got to cover tonight too.
My last bait in the fall, and it's a smallmouth bait exclusively. I don't know how it works everywhere else. I only really throw it on Conowingo, so this is some juice. Is the hula grub, the Gary Yamamoto hula grub.
Okay.
Yeah, most people don't even own them. You can't buy them you got to get them online. Not hard to find. You can get them on Tackle Warehouse. You can get them on pretty much any online tackle store. The hula grub is just a phenomenal bait. Fish it like just put it on a jig head, fish it like a jig. I mean, it just catches fish. It's
got like the long twisty arms that
it's actually very small. It's the old timers call it the spider jig. So it's been around for a long time. It's not really. It's one of those things that it's kind of been passed over in the last couple of years, decade really, because of all this new shit that's come out. But the hula grub is the deal. I mean, you gotta throw it on if you're around smallmouth. It's a killer on conowing. I've caught a lot of fish in tournaments that mattered. I actually won a fishing rod off of it this year. I caught a largemouth on it, believe it or not, on a hula grub, on Conowingo, and I ended up winning a free fishing rod with it. So that's a really, really good bait. Just throw it on a jig head. Throw it out there, fish it like a jig. Fish it shallow, fish it deep, fish it around wood, fish it on rocks, fish it at current. Very versatile bait. Very small bait, so when they eat it...
Would you consider that more of a trailer than
no
a bait?
Nope. I put it on a football head, Texas rig it. It's a football head and a hula grub, and that's it. And again, like for me, it's a Conowingo bait exclusively. Like I don't throw them anywhere else. Mm-hmm. Could I throw them anywhere else? Probably. I've caught fish on them on Moomaw before, but it was like little ones. Mm-hmm. Caught a lot of them, but they were little. On Conowingo, I've caught some hammers on it. I mean, I've caught some really nice fish. So it's a really good bait. I mean, I really, really like it. Hard to find, very situational. But if generally speaking in the fall, like instead of me picking up a jig, I will throw that, especially around deeper rocks and stuff. Kind of fits the same bill as the finesse jig, like the sniper jig and stuff like that. But that's some juice. I mean, that's some juice. Like, I'm probably going to get a text after this saying, why the fuck would you talk about that? Is what it is. Hopefully, if you guys throw it, catch some fish on them.
Is what it is. So there's a couple other things we plan on covering tonight. Mm-hmm. We got an update on Riverboat Rob. Mm-hmm. Last Friday, Riverboat Rob was here last Friday.
Yep.
He did undergo surgery this week. For some... God, open the door, please. Can you please shut up, Bubs? He did undergo surgery this week. The surgery went well. He got good news from the surgeons. Rob is good, and he is recovering. I'm still waiting to hear some more from Rob to get some more details, but just to let you guys know, Rob's recovering from a surgery, and he did well. He got good news from the surgeon. Yep. So that's fantastic news. We were going to be hanging out with Heath Murphy from Gambler Boats here November 7th. That's pretty awesome. I think that'll be a fantastic interview. Mm-hmm. Paul Batters went, what was it, 13th? I
think, Paul, if you're still on, what did you finish? I want to say it was 113, which...
113?
I think it was 113 out of the field, which was over 200. So right around middle of the pack, which is pretty damn good in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, you go to a place that you've never fished before, competing against locals. I would say, I mean, I don't know. There's no way to really say. I would say probably 50% of the field had probably fished the Mississippi once or twice, which is actually a huge advantage if you've never fished it at all. So, you know, I got to give a lot of credit to Paul for going out there and doing a great job over there. The other thing too is just making it to that is a huge feat in itself.
Massive accomplishment.
Huge shout out to Paul.
Yeah, congratulations to him representing Bass and Beer Radio in Maryland.
Right. I should have let him. Well, it would have been cool if he would have had a wrap Bass and Beer boat to go up there.
Right.
That would have been sick. Right.
So we covered Paul. We covered Rob. Our announcement with hanging out with Heath Murphy from Gambler Boats. We talked about our favorite fall fishing baits and kind of went into some detail over that. Is there anything else that we kind of wanted to get into here?
I think that was most of it, honestly. We stayed on topic pretty good. We kind of rolled through it. We're here at about an hour and 15 minutes in the show.
It's always good to take a little bit of time to, as I like to say, piss into the wind and hang out with the boys.
Joe says, I heard Paul got his biggest fish on a glide. That's news to me. Paul, if you're still watching and that's true, confirm or deny that.
He's probably screwing with you because he likes throwing glide baits.
Yeah, but what if Paul did get his biggest fish on a glide? That'd be kind of sick.
I would be very proud of Paul.
That'd be sick.
It would be sick.
Let's say this. If you guys are fishing this weekend, where are you going and what are you going to throw and why?
Yeah. Let us know in the comments. Where are you going this weekend? And after listening to us talk about our favorite fall baits, what are you guys going to throw this weekend?
And the other question, as we kind of wrap the show up here, for you, Matt Downs says, side note, we're hosting the 3rd annual speckled trout tournament here locally. Cool, man. That's awesome. I guess, is that down on like the Elizabeth River? Down in like the Virginia Beach area? I think it's the Elizabeth River. Goes up into like Norfolk or whatever. Let me know. I'm curious. Did I lose my train of thought? I might have lost my train. I'm going to get it back here in a second. I'm going to pull a Rain Man and get it back. And maybe I'm not going to get it back.
He's losing it.
I am losing. I'm going to
senile. He's losing it.
Going senile. So we talked about where you guys are fishing this week. Oh, the live video. Duh. For those of you guys that tuned into our live video a couple weeks ago that me and Chad were doing.
Oh, yeah, out on the old GP.
I thought that was actually a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that.
I enjoyed it myself.
I'd like to do that more for you guys.
More live content while we're actually fishing. You guys always see us sit in here in the studio and talk to you guys, but you never really get to see us actually go out and catch fish. So, not saying we're going to catch fish every time we go out and fish, but you ready for another one?
Yes, please.
Bubs, you freaking asshole, get out.
Bubs is all tangled up and everything. Let me ask this. So for you guys that checked out our live video, like, do you want to see more of that, and how can we make it better? Because I think that's something that we want to do more, but we are not experts. We are beer drinking, blue collar guys.
The mobile microphones.
That is a huge one. Yeah.
The mobile microphones would be a huge one. We got to figure out a way that we can set up an iPad or something of that nature so we can actually read comments while we're fishing and interact with people.
Yeah. Yep.
I think that would be big because we need to be able to interact. They need to be able to hear what we're having conversations about, whether it is farting or anything. I don't care what it is. Got to hear it. It just makes it all good stuff. And then this is where it gets a little bit more technical here, but if you get into an area that doesn't have good cell phone reception, how do you can you put like a mobile hotspot on the boat to maintain better internet connectivity for better quality?
I would think you could.
And how much would that cost?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I agree with the iPad. I agree with the microphones.
Like, I liked watching, like, Chris Zowden would always be live when he was out fishing. But, like, what does Chris Zowden do? But now the one thing, like, I definitely like his quality was always pretty good, but he didn't interact with people. Obviously, he's fishing at a completely different level than us, so he's not even focused. He doesn't give a shit what people are saying in his comments. He's just out there trying to fish. He's trying to win money. But for us, we want to interact. We want to go fishing. We want to interact with people, talk about what we're doing, yada, yada, yada. So how can we do that better?
Yeah.
iPad for comments, mobile microphone, maybe some type of hotspot. I wish there was, like, maybe some wireless technology where we could use 2 different camera angles.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool.
Let me ask this. Would you guys... So I think on the water content is awesome, obviously, right? Whether it's live or not. Would you guys like to see... Now, I think our live video 2 weeks ago was great because we caught fish the whole time. It was exciting.
That was awesome.
We talked through everything we were doing. We caught a bunch of fish. Would you guys like to see more of... like after the fact on the water standalone videos where we talk through stuff and kind of narrate it and clips here and clips there, or is the live better? The thing that's hard about going live,
I've always thought we should do some stuff like, I'm just gonna say it off the top of my head because they're the ones that stick out the most to me, but like tactical bassing.
Oh, they do a great
job. They just lay some lures down on the boat. They both stand behind the boat. They talk into the camera about that specific lure, go into details, and that's the end of the video. They edit it and post it.
Yeah, that's it. It's
just
awesome.
like stuff like that.
Yeah, that is really, really awesome. I think I kind of like, I agree with what you're saying. I think if we add fish catching to stuff like that, I think it would be sick. Like, I think if we talked about, and we could do it similar, right? Instead of talking about baits, we film an intro, idling out of the canal. Hey, we're going to go fish the gunpowder, blah, 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 blah. We get to the first spot. All right. Because, I mean, like, let's be honest. The gunpowder, can you really burn spots in the gunpowder anymore?
No. You're not burning spots in the gunpowder anymore. Everybody and their brother knows about it. you know.
So I think we could probably have a little thing where we could say, hey, you know, we're going to...
If you want to blame us for that, I appreciate it. That means you have full confidence that our show reaches that many people and people listen to us.
And that means that you trust us to put you on fish, which might be a good thing, might not. But I think if we had a video like, hey, we're idling out of the canal, we're going to do this or whatever, and then we get to the first spot, all right, this is a spot we're picking, we're going to start here because X. The water is this, the wind is this, the temperature is this, and we're going to, because we're in this area, we're going to pick to throw a spinnerbait, crankbait, a shaky headed jerkbait, whatever the reason, and then we set up the GoPro, catch a couple fish, and then we maybe narrate over it. Okay,
we gotta talk about jigs, and then one day just go out and film us fishing nothing but jigs.
Yeah,
and then post the video.
I think it's the opposite. I think we go out fishing, figure out what we're catching them on, catch all the fish, get all the clips, and then shoot the intro at the end.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So like we go out fishing, see what happens, and one day we catch them on crankbaits. Okay, and then we sit down and we're like, okay, we caught all these fish on crankbaits. Why did we catch these fish on crankbaits? What's the theory? And then we you know, either narrate over top of it or we film an intro or little clips in here and there. Like, this is why I think we caught them on these crankbaits.
I do like the voiceover thing that you can do. It's kind of cool.
The voiceover thing's awesome. Yeah. The voiceover thing is really cool. And I think we did a really good thing with the live. I think it was cool that we caught a bunch of fish and we kind of had a happy medium of like talking through what we're doing.
Took the time to go back to the camera, kneel down, show the fish. Hey, this is what's going on. We're moving to this position. Here's what's happening in this position.
Right. Right. But I think we, you know, the live is like us sitting here BSing about fishing is how we started this thing. Right. And, you know, Chad works full time. I work full time. You know, we're not tactical bassing. We're not bass fishing HQ. This isn't our full time thing where we're relying on money. This is not our living.
No, not a living. We don't make any money at this at all. Actually, I've spent thousands of dollars on doing this, which is totally fine because I freaking love doing it. But, you know, we got to make this. We got to continue to make this fun and not make it like a job and figure out how to maintain that happy medium.
Yeah. So we're definitely going to try to make some more on the water stuff next year. I'm going to invest in a GoPro and get some microphones next year for when I go, even if I go solo, just to put some content out there. Because I think it would be cool. I really think, and for you guys that are local, let me know in the comments what you think. I think we would do really good because there's not a lot of stuff out there. I think we could have a title technique series. I really think we could have a title technique series in where we talk about just title bass fishing. And the reason I say that is because, you know, I love watching tactical bassing. I love watching Bass Fishing HQ. I love watching, there's a fella up in somewhere up north, I can't remember, Benjamin Nowak fishing. He does a lot of really good videos if you haven't checked him out. My point is, a lot of these videos, even Wired to Fish, right, who's like done a lot of really good stuff, they don't talk a lot about title fishing. Jim, you always have an opinion, and it's an entertaining opinion at that. A lot of these guys that are very successful that share information and post content don't talk a lot about title fishing. I think we could hit a niche market where we talk about this is why we fish the way that we do in tidal water, because it's so difficult for a lot of people that don't ever fish tidal. There's a lot of folks that fish in like surrounding states, Virginia, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, up and down the East Coast that might fish BFLs, that might fish Bass Opens, that might fish TBFs, and their whole season they might have one or two title tournaments a year. And I feel like we could really kind of gain that type of viewership if we have a YouTube series where we break down fishing tidal water and why we do what we do. I think that would be really, really cool just because there's nothing out there that specifically covers tidal water and how to fish it.
Matt says some edited fishing videos, no live, just slaying fish will help us grow. Yeah. I agree. It's I mean, just I'm not complaining. I'm just putting it off the top of my head what I think because I've done it before, and it's just the amount of time it takes after that fishing to go through the video, break it down, edit it, put it into a video. Dude, these guys that are making these videos and posting it on YouTube and shit every day, Matt, you know more than anybody because you're doing it all the time with your boat builds. Dude, it's hard. Yeah. It's time consuming and it is hard. It takes a lot of time. And yeah, man, like all respect out to anybody that takes their time to build their YouTubes and stuff like that. Matt Downs with Trick Tins. Our buddy Andrew with Tactical Fishing like has a huge following. Like, dude, it's not easy to film all this shit, edit it, and make a good video out of it. It is so time consuming. So, you know, all respect out to you guys for that. I would like to get better at it. I just got to put in the time to actually do it.
And one of the things that me and Chad have talked about is taking our live video and chopping it up and making some fish catching, whether it's reels or standalone videos or whatever. Yeah, Jim says consistency is the biggest thing, and I would agree. Again, it just like it comes down to a lot of it. It's the time, man. I mean, like you said, if this isn't a part-time job at a minimum, it takes away from so much. Like, are you going to bust your ass all day, 10, 12 hours a day, and then sit here for 3 hours and edit a video?
Yeah.
Every day. And then go out again next weekend and edit a video every day. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot. It really is. And
there's guys that are posting videos daily, but they're using probably 1 or 2 days of fishing to make 4 or 5 different videos type thing.
There's a really good guy that I like on YouTube, Fish the Moment. Very, very knowledgeable talking about. He does a lot of really cool stuff with his videos. So we're definitely going to edit up the live video. We're going to make some cool fish catches and share some reels and stuff like that. So when you see them, do us a favor, like and share them, get them out there. I actually want to start working on that sooner rather than later so we can get a whole thing going on. But I think that was a really cool video, and we should definitely take advantage of it.
I never, ever want to do this for the purpose of money.
It takes the fun out of it.
It does take the fun of it. I could care less about making money trying to be on YouTube or anything like that. Dude, I just enjoy doing this so much every weekend that it's like, you know, we might have 15 people consistently watch us all night long. Like, that's dope to me. I think about a table, and there's 15 people sitting around that table, like, listening to what you have to say. That's super cool with me. So, like, to me, building a community of guys that can get on here, they recognize each other week after week, everybody can talk bullshit, talk about bass fishing, that's the goal to me, dude. That's the love that I have for doing what we do. It has nothing to do with YouTube fame or making money off of being a streamer or a YouTuber. Right. I like the community, and I just like coming on here every single Friday, sitting down with my friends, drinking ice cold beer, and talking bass fishing with the rest of the guys in the community that share the same passion as me. Right. To me, that's what it's all about.
Yep,
so,
I agree.
I just want to grow it for that purpose and that purpose alone.
Yep. No, I think we have a lot of stuff that we're going to look at as this year comes to a close. You know, obviously between me, you, and Paul with the tournaments, me with work, you with just general life things going on, right? Like, we definitely were not as consistent this year as we have been, but I think we learned a lot lesson-wise this year and on how we can make the most of our time and put out some good content. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it just comes down to, like, at the end of the day, like, everything that you post content-wise, whether it's catching a fish or whether it's weighing in a tournament, like, that stuff can touch somebody or reach somebody in a way where it makes sense to them, and then they're willing to like and share it, and then it starts the chain reaction of things. So definitely going to start getting rocking and rolling next year and posting some more content and having a little bit more of a deliberate effort to go out and film. Chad and I have talked about this for years, and it's just so hard to get it done. I think we just have to dedicate the time to do it.
You just have to do it. You just have to say fuck it and just fucking do it. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like, it's one of them things where, in the famous words of Adam Grauman, freaking stop talking about it and be about it.
Yep.
Just do it.
Life's a garden. Dig it. Got to keep on keeping on.
Exactly.
So, anything else we're going to cover tonight, or are we going to send it?
I'm ready to send it, boys.
Send it.
We are logging out. This has been a mildly short episode of Bass and Me Radio. Once again, we appreciate all of you guys for joining in. We look forward to seeing you guys every single week. We may do a midweek segment. You know, we were talking about trying to do some lives maybe in the middle of the week and talk about some shit. So we may be live in the middle of the week. We'll definitely post about it. Shout out to our sponsors, UMA Lure Company, Bass Munitions, Mobile Auto Services, and the Boat Pros. Tailored Lures.
Tactical Fishing Company.
Tactical Fishing Company. Shout out to all you guys for sticking with us and you know, helping to represent Bass and Beer Radio. And with that being said, you guys have a good night. We're going to keep on drinking beer.
Yep.
Peace.